Captain Rian Hale stood on the bridge of the human flagship Valor's Edge, watching the stars drift past like cold silver dust. For 40 years, humans and the alien species called the Vihurin had lived as allies. They traded, they shared knowledge, and they protected each other's borders. Rion himself had signed the peace treaty, believing the Vihurin were friends. But tonight, something felt wrong in the quiet of space. A sudden alarm broke the silence. A young officer shouted, "Sir, we are receiving a distress signal from Colony Vega 9. Rian turned sharply, his heart sinking. Vega 9 was one of the oldest human settlements, a peaceful world with families, farms, and research stations. There should have been no reason for a distress call. The transmission flickered onto the main screen. Smoke filled the background, flames rising like red giants behind shattered buildings. People were running, children crying, alarms screaming. A scientist covered in dust appeared on the screen, his voice breaking. "They promised peace. They said we were safe." The signal cracked, filling the room with static. Then the scientist whispered one last message. "They lied. The Vihurin betrayed us. They are coming." The screen went dark. For a moment, the bridge was silent. Every officer looked at Rion, waiting, afraid. Rion's hands tightened behind his back. He felt a deep cut of guilt. He had trusted the Vihurin more than anyone else in the fleet. He had believed their smiles and their calm voices. Now he felt like a fool. "Locate the Vihurin fleet," Rian ordered, his voice cold. Sensors scanned deep space. Searching, nothing appeared at first, only empty darkness. But then, a new alert flashed across the screens. An unknown energy signature was detected at the edge of human territory. Large, powerful, moving fast. The sensor officer whispered, "Sir, this is not a patrol group. It is a full battle fleet." Rian stepped forward. "How many ships?" The officer swallowed hard. "At least 100, sir. Maybe more." The bridge filled with quiet fear. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not an accident. This was war. Rian activated fleet-wide communication. "All ships, battle stations," he commanded. The crew moved quickly, sealing doors, powering shields, arming torpedoes. No one questioned the order. Everyone knew what the betrayal meant. Then something unexpected happened. Dozens of Vihurin warships suddenly appeared out of cloak, surrounding the human fleet like a tightening noose. The blue glow of their weapons shined like cold moonlight. Their commander sent a message, his face calm and cruel on the screen. "Humans," he said softly, "your time as a species is over." The message ended before Rian could reply. The bridge fell silent again, but this silence was different. It was the silence before a storm, the silence of people preparing for death. Rian closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of the colony, thinking of the families he failed to protect. A fire burned inside him, hotter than the flames he had seen on the screen. The Vihurin wanted to destroy humanity completely, but they had forgotten one thing. Humans fight hardest when everything is taken from them. Rian opened his eyes, his voice sharp like steel. "Prepare for total war," he said. The human fleet turned their shields to full power as the Vihurin ships moved into attack formation. The stars around them seemed to hold their breath, and in that quiet second before the first shot was fired, Rian made a promise in his heart. Humanity would not fall today. Not without an answer, not without fire, not without a fight that the galaxy would remember forever. The first shot of the battle came from the Vihurin. A blazing blue beam cut through space and slammed into the shields of the human flagship. The entire ship trembled, lights flickering, metal groaning under the force, but the shields held. Captain Rion Hale stood firm as the bridge shook, refusing to take a single step back. "Return fire," Rion ordered. Human cannons lit up, sending bright bursts of energy toward the nearest Vihurin cruiser. The blast struck its hull, forcing the alien ship to spin sideways, smoke trailing behind it. The battle had begun. The betrayal was no longer words on a dead screen. It was now fire, destruction, and survival. The Vihurin fleet moved with terrifying precision. They fought like a machine, cold and perfect. Their ships danced through human fire, firing back with deadly accuracy. The humans were pushed back inch by inch, shield by shield, breath by breath. But Rian did not panic. His mind worked quickly, remembering every old strategy, every forgotten tactic. Humanity had fought wars before, long before the Vihurin alliance, and humans had one advantage the Vihurin never expected. Humans could adapt, think fast, and fight with emotion. Emotion the Vihurin believed was weakness. Emotion that now became humanity's greatest power. Rian activated the secret battle channels. "Deploy the old war tech," he said. The officers looked up in shock. "Sir, that technology is 2 centuries old," one officer said. Rian nodded. "Exactly. The Viharin studied all our modern weapons, but they have no data on the old ones. Bring them online." Across the fleet, ancient EMP torpedoes, magnetic mines, and plasma nets powered up. The weapons hummed with old machinery and raw force. The Viharin sensors did not detect the change. They believed humans were using standard weapons. They were wrong. Rian waited for the right moment. Then he gave the order, "Fire EMP torpedoes." The torpedoes flew out like slow, harmless metal cylinders. The Viharin ignored them, thinking they were weak, outdated tools. But the moment the torpedoes exploded, the battlefield changed completely. Electric waves shot out, short-circuiting dozens of Viharin ships. Their engines died. Their shields dropped. Their weapons went dark. Alien ships drifted helplessly in space like broken toys. For the first time since the battle began, the humans had the advantage. "Focus fire on disabled ships," Rian commanded. Human cannons roared across the battlefield. One by one, Viharin cruisers exploded into bright clouds of fire and metal. The bridge crew cheered, but Rian did not celebrate. He could feel the battle turning, but not ending. A new alert flashed on the screen. The Viharin were activating secondary battle systems. Their ships began rebooting faster than expected. They had countermeasures humans did not know about. The Viharin learned too, and they learned fast. A powerful energy wave slammed into the human fleet. Ships shook, shields cracked, and smoke filled the air. Rian grabbed onto a rail as the bridge tilted. "Damage report," he shouted. 3 ships destroyed, 7 badly hit, shields at 60%. The officer replied. The human fleet was still in danger, but something even more important appeared on Rian's main screen. A captured Viharin data cluster floated among the wreckage of a destroyed alien ship. Rian ordered it brought aboard the Valor's Edge. When the data was decoded, the entire bridge froze. The files showed Viharin war plans from decades ago. Plans to slowly weaken humanity. Plans to spy, manipulate, and deceive. Plans to attack every colony on the same day. The Viharin never wanted peace. They wanted humans removed from the galaxy forever. Rian stared at the screen with cold fury. This was not just betrayal. This was extermination, and humanity would not let it happen. Rian looked at his fleet, bruised but still standing. The time for fear was over. The first strike was complete. Humanity had struck back, and the Viharin now knew one thing. Humans were not easy to kill. The human fleet drifted in silence after the battle. Wreckage floated around them like broken memories, burning and fading in the dark. But inside the flagship Valor's Edge, something else was burning. Not fear, not confusion, but determination. Humanity had been betrayed, but it would not break. Captain Rian Hale stood at the center of the bridge as engineers worked, repairing damaged systems and clearing smoke. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp, focused, alive. The war had only started, and now humanity needed a plan. A plan not just to survive, but to strike back. Rian opened a channel to Earth Command. The leaders of every nation appeared as holograms around him. There were generals, scientists, admirals, and diplomats. All of them looked shocked as Rian revealed the captured Viharin war files. When the truth came out, the room fell into heavy silence. The Viharin had planned humanity's destruction for decades. Every smile, every handshake, every treaty had been a lie. Earth's leaders finally understood the scale of the betrayal. Earth Command announced a new order. All governments, all colonies, all research stations would unite under one banner. A single war council, a single fight, a single goal. Humanity's survival. This new alliance was called the Unified War Council. For the first time in 200 years, the entire human species stood as one. Factories on Mars woke up, producing heavy weapons day and night. Shipyards around Jupiter lit up with blue flame, building new cruisers faster than ever before. Scientists unlocked forgotten military designs. Engineers created powerful new weapons using both old and modern ideas. Rian's fleet was sent to lead the first counterattack, not a defense mission, not a retreat, but a strike into Viharin territory. This move shocked the galaxy. No species had ever counterattacked the Viharin after being betrayed. Most species surrendered or fled, fearing extinction. But humans were different. Humans fought back. the fleet jumped into Viharan-controlled space, entering a region filled with dying stars and asteroid storms. Sensors detected abandoned stations, dark wrecks, and signs of long-forgotten battles. The Viharan had hidden their cruelty well, but now the truth was in the open. As the humans moved deeper, they found something unexpected. A massive prison ship drifting in silence. Inside were hundreds of aliens from many species. The Viharan had enslaved them, used them for labor, experiments, and torture. When the prisoners saw humans, they expected more pain, but Rian ordered his soldiers to help them, feed them, treat their wounds. The aliens were shocked. No one had ever shown them kindness before. One alien leader, a tall creature with silver eyes, spoke to Rian. "We did not believe humans were different," she said softly. "You are not like the Viharan. You fight for others." The rescued species offered their knowledge, their maps, and even their warriors. For the first time, the galaxy began to stand with humanity. But the Viharan did not stay quiet for long. A large Viharan battle group detected the human fleet and moved in quickly. The ships dropped out of warp near a glowing nebula, colorful but deadly. The nebula storms twisted gravity and scattered sensors. It was the worst place for a battle, and yet the perfect place for an ambush. The Viharan charged forward without fear. They believed the storm would confuse the humans, but Rian used the nebula to his advantage. He hid his ships inside the glowing clouds. Using them as cover, the Viharan sensors failed. Unable to track human movement, human ships moved like shadows in the storm. A surprise strike hit the Viharan from the side, tearing through their formation. Rian outsmarted them, using chaos as a weapon. By the time the nebula storm cleared, the Viharan battle group was destroyed. The galaxy took notice. Humanity was not running. Humanity was not begging. Humanity was rising, and the Viharan were beginning to fear the very species they tried to erase. The Viharan prison ship had given humanity its first allies, but it also gave something even more important: information, dangerous information, truth. The Viharan had tried to hide for decades. After the battle inside the nebula, the human fleet carried the captured Viharan commander to the Valar's edge. The alien was tall, with pale skin and cold eyes that never blinked. He stood inside a reinforced cell, calm and silent. He did not look afraid. He looked confident, as if he still believed the Viharan would win. Rian Hale entered the room with two officers. He kept his voice steady. "You attacked our colonies. You broke the peace. You killed our people." The Viharan commander tilted his head slowly. "We did what was necessary," he replied. Rian stepped closer. "Necessary for what?" The commander's lips formed something like a smile. "Necessary to save the galaxy," he said. The officers exchanged confused glances. Rian narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean?" The commander spoke in a calm, cold tone. "You humans think you are weak," he said. "You think you are small, emotional, chaotic, but the truth is the opposite. You are dangerous." Rian's expression hardened. The commander continued. "For centuries, the Viharan ruled the galaxy with fear and control. Other species obeyed us because they had no hope. They believed there was no alternative." He looked directly at Rian. "But then humans arrived, a young species with strange ideas, kindness, cooperation, unity. You helped weaker species. You protected colonies that were not yours. You shared technology without expecting obedience." Rian frowned. "How is that dangerous?" he asked. The Viharan commander laughed softly. "To you, it is kindness. To us, it is rebellion. You were changing the galaxy without even trying." Rian stepped closer. "So you attacked us because we helped others?" The commander shook his head. "It was more than that. Other species began to admire humans. They believed humans could lead better than the Viharan. They saw hope in you, and hope is poison to those who rule through fear." Rian finally understood. The betrayal was not about resources or territory. It was about control. The Viharan feared humans not because humans were weak, but because humans created unity. Unity that could overthrow the Viharan Empire. The commander continued speaking. "Our leaders predicted that within a century, humans would become the center of the galaxy. A species others would follow. A species others would trust. That future was unacceptable. So we planned your destruction before it could happen." Rian felt anger rise in his chest. Millions of lives lost, entire colonies destroyed, all because humans inspired hope. He struggled to keep his voice steady. "You tried to erase us because we believed in peace." "Yes," the commander replied. "In peace, you become powerful." Rian turned away in disgust. He had heard enough. The truth spread quickly through the fleet and across human space. The broadcast of the interrogation went viral among colonies and allied species. People were shocked, then angry, then determined. The galaxy finally understood the real enemy. Not humanity, not emotion, but the Viheran Empire that feared change. Allied species began reaching out to the humans. Small groups at first, then entire fleets. They shared intel, maps, and weaknesses in Viheran defenses. They wanted to help humanity win, not because humans were strongest, but because humans gave them something the Viheran never could: hope. On the bridge of the Valar's Edge, Rian watched dozens of alien ships join their formation. The fleet was no longer just human. It was a symbol of unity, a symbol of resistance, a symbol of what the Viheran feared most. Rian stood tall as he looked at the growing allied armada. "The truth is out," he said quietly, "and now the galaxy stands with us." He turned toward the stars ahead. "Prepare the fleet. Humanity's answer is coming." The allied fleet gathered around the human flagship Valar's Edge. Human ships, rescued species, freed warriors, old friends, new allies, all standing side by side. The galaxy had changed. The truth was out. And now the Viheran Empire stood alone. Captain Rian Hale looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere in that direction was the Viheran home system, the heart of their power, the center of their cruelty, the place where their leaders planned humanity's destruction. It was time to finish the fight. Rian opened a channel to the entire fleet. Hundreds of holograms appeared, showing humans and aliens together. Rian spoke in a strong, steady voice. "Today, we do not fight for territory or revenge. Today, we fight to end fear. We fight so no one else suffers what we suffered. We fight so the Viheran Empire never rises again." A quiet wave passed through the fleet. Not fear, but unity. The fleet made the final jump. Space twisted around them as hundreds of ships moved through warp. When they arrived, the Viheran home system came into view. A dark cluster of planets guarded by massive defense platforms. Viheran ships swarmed like metal insects, thousands of them. The largest armada humanity had ever seen. The Viheran commander of the home fleet sent a single message: "Turn back or be erased." Rian answered with calm fire in his voice. "Humanity does not turn back." The channel closed. The first shots lit up the void. The battle exploded instantly, shaking the entire star system. Human ships advanced in tight formation. Allied vessels struck from the flanks. The Viheran fired relentlessly, trying to overwhelm the humans with numbers, but numbers were not enough. Humans fought with strategy and creativity. Allied species fought with anger and hope. Together, they broke through the first Viheran line, then the second, then the third. Inside the Viheran palace bunker, their leaders watched the screens in disbelief. For the first time in history, the Viheran were losing, not to a powerful empire, not to a superior species, but to humans they once called weak. Humans who refused to die. Humans who brought others together on the battlefield. Rian activated the final phase of the human plan, a formation called the Iron Dawn, the largest coordinated attack humans had ever executed. Thousands of weapons fired at once, lighting the sky with white fire. The Viheran shields cracked, shattered, and finally collapsed. The Allied fleet pushed forward. Human marines landed on the Viheran capital world. Citizens hid in fear, expecting cruelty, torture, revenge, but the humans did not harm them. They secured the city without hurting innocent lives. The Viheran people had been lied to. Just like others, they were victims too. In the palace control room, Rian confronted the surviving Viheran leaders. Their pride was gone, their arrogance broken. "You tried to erase us," Rian said softly. "Now you will answer to the galaxy you tried to control." The leaders were taken into custody by a multi-species council. The Viheran Empire had fallen. When the battle ended, silence filled the system. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of peace. Ships flew low over liberated cities. Allied species celebrated. For the first time in centuries, they were free. Rian stood on the bridge of the Valar's Edge, watching the sunrise over the Viheran homeworld. He spoke quietly, mostly to himself. "The galaxy is changing, and humanity will protect it." He turned to his officers and gave one final order. "Send a message to all colonies and allies. Tell them humanity survived betrayal. Tell them humanity fought back, and tell them humanity will always answer." A new signal appeared in deep space. Faint but powerful, something ancient, something unknown. Watching from the dark, Rian stared at the reading with calm determination. The war with the Viharin was over, but the story of humanity was only beginning.